Okay. Hi, podcast. This is episode 4, I think, or 3, because we had some complications with the last one. I'm here with Veronica, and I forgot your last name already, even though you just told me.
Casale.
Yeah, you got that, Veronica Casale. Yes. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what movie you chose and why you chose it?
I Saw the TV Glow.
Yeah.
I chose I Saw the TV Glow because it is my favorite movie, and it really goes into a sort of like metaphysical way of storytelling in portraying like the trans experience, and it's really special to me. It's very special to a lot of trans people in the world. And I think it'd be a really interesting perspective in the context of like women for this podcast. So,
I strongly agree. I really love this movie. I saw it in theaters, and then I had to sit in the bathroom and look in the mirror for like 30 minutes after.
Yeah, it has a tendency to do that. There was somebody that just watched it recently that's going through a gender crisis herself, and yeah, she was not okay. I was like, you don't have to watch it tonight. And then she was like, I'm not going to watch it tonight. And then she messaged me at like 3 a.m. It was like, hey, I watched that movie.
Oh my God.
I'm like, girl, why did you do that?
It really is so good though. And like, I loved seeing it in theaters, and it was like a lovely movie to see in theaters because it's just so cinematographically like beautiful. But that like is such a movie that I feel like you should be watching on a laptop on your bed in the middle of the night. True.
Very, very true. Yeah. And I think another like big part about this movie that I really love to talk about, like what enables me to talk about it for so long, is the fact that the movie's plot on its own is not enough to really portray what the movie is about. Mm-hmm. Like the movie, it's like structure is in the subtext. Like you can't talk about the movie without talking about the subtext.
Exactly.
It's like impossible.
Because it's kind of nothing without the subtext. Like, the movie doesn't really make sense if you're not discussing the subtext.
Yeah. It's like, I've never seen a movie, granted I haven't seen many movies at all, but like, I've never seen a movie that leans so heavily on the subtext in order to tell its story. It's always like, I mean, a movie has a story to tell, it has like a plot, but this was such like a different route, and I think for this concept, it was really... like it was there's no better like way to tell about like trans experience than like in this fashion.
I strongly agree. I think it was like such a beautiful way to tell like a trans story in that sense, in like a way that also was palatable to like cis viewers who wouldn't necessarily go into it being like, oh, this is a story about the trans experience, and then they have to go and watch and experience that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. From what I've seen on like reviews about this movie and stuff, it's very clear that there was like a good number of like cis people that did not know what this movie was about and were not told, because a lot of the reviews are like mixed as hell, because they're just like, yeah, no, I didn't really understand it. It just didn't really make a lot of sense to me, and it kind of ended abruptly. And it's almost guaranteed that like, okay, they don't have like any social media that is tapped into algorithmically like around trans people like at all.
Yeah. I don't understand how you could watch that movie and not come out of it like knowing innately what it's about though. Because I feel like the subtext, like it does rely so heavily on the subtext, but it's so like in your face about it, you know what I mean? Because it relies so heavily on it.
Yeah. Maybe that's just like coming from like, maybe it's just you and me and like being surrounded predominantly by like other queer people all the time. But like from what I experience like out in the real world and like just having to like get out of my own head about like, you know, dysphoria and shit is like, wow, cis people really do not think about trans people deeply at all. So it's not really that much of a surprise to me that like a lot of people wouldn't really pick up on it, because like the reality is like people really, they do not care. They don't care. They don't.
That's so
really,
sad.
They don't really care to know. And that is like, you know, kind of sad for like the broader viewership of the movie, but like that doesn't really upset me that much.
Yeah, and I don't think it disserviced the movie in any way. Like, I think the movie is still phenomenally good,
still phenomenal,
even if those people didn't understand it.
Yeah, and it's so important to like so many people out there. They're like going through a gender crisis on their own.
Yeah.
Or even like have already like kind of gone through the motions, but like I don't know, it's representation, and it's like,
and it's good representation.
It's debatedly like some of the best. Seriously, I struggle to think of like any other pieces in the modern era that are like as well like portrayed of like representation than that movie.
I can't even think of any pieces of media that I've like seen or heard of recently that even like actually tell a trans story like in that way, and like that like of the trans experience, you know, like they'll have trans characters but you don't see that character experiencing being trans.
Yeah. And like the rewatchability of that movie is like unbelievable. Because like again, like with like all the subtext, like you could rewatch that movie like 4 times and still pick up on stuff that was like just like subtle, like in every way that it was shot, in every way that like the colors are in like the movie. Like it's all like all of this like visual storytelling is like there's just so much of it. Like you would be insane to attempt to catch it all on one watch through.
It's so good. Wow, what a great movie. Okay, now where we go from here is we kind of talk about like if the female characters in the movie are well represented and if they're like well rounded. So what do you think in regards to that?
I think I would try to approach it with like a character by character basis.
Yeah,
and
that's
I think,
what we generally do. So,
and this is going to sound, if anybody who's listening doesn't know anything about I Saw a TV Glow, this is not going to make a lot of sense, but I want to talk about the character Owen, who is our main character, and in the subtext of the movie, pretty much leans heavily into just having that gendered crisis and like going through dysphoria.
I think it is fair to talk about Owen within the context of being a female character.
Yes.
To be clear, I think this is, I agree with you. We should talk about Owen.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it would be weird if someone was listening to this podcast episode and like had an issue with that and was like, oh, this is a podcast about like being a girl and we talk about the trans girl at the center of the story, and they're like, oh, but that's a man. Like that's, whoa.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think the big thing here is that we largely don't really see Owen undergo that transformation. And that's kind of what the movie is kind of spitting in your face the entire time in all the metaphors that it throws at you. And I think that the portrayal of Owen as a character, and specifically I want to talk more about his circumstances in like growing up. And I want to start with his family. So we have like a seemingly like, more of like a coddly mother, right? And from what a lot of viewers will probably pick up on is probably like an abusive father figure.
Yeah.
Because it would seem that not only Owen, but Owen's mother have like a fear of like directly talking to their father / husband. Like there's this energy, and you can kind of feel it as you're watching. There's this aura of like just like authority in like the worst way possible. And you can hear it he has like one line. It's Fred Durst, by the way, which I think is like hilarious.
That is so funny.
Shout out to Fred Durst for like making it into like this type of movie specifically.
I know, and he would too.
He would.
That would be the movie that he's in.
Yeah. But like one of the only lines of dialogue that he has is when they're in the truck and Owen's mom's in the backseat and Owen is like up against her, like in her lap. And it's when Owen asks if he can stay up late to watch the Pinko Pig for the first time and like bring it up in front of them. And he was like, he asks like his mom specifically. He doesn't ask his dad. He asks his mom, and then his mom deflects to like his dad, like being like it would be up to him, and like it seems like she's like hesitating about it and doesn't even really kind of. Actually, it's been a little while since I've seen the movie. I can't remember if she actually like directly asks him or not. But the one line of dialogue he has is like, "Isn't that a show for girls?" Which should be like, kind of drops the ball. Like you would think that would be so obvious what this movie is about. I know, it's so
on the nose.
But like, I don't know. It's crazy that it even goes over people's heads to begin with. But you know, whatever.
I seriously, like, I cannot believe watching this movie and not immediately understanding what it's about.
Yeah.
Like, that's just crazy to me. Like, even if you're not thinking about trans people, like, you're still watching this movie that is so overtly about the trans experience.
Yeah.
And all of the colors in the movie are, like, the trans flag. Like,
yeah. It all signals at just gender as a concept, really. It does. Seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, like, another, like, little detail that I picked up on later watching the movie over again is Owen is like a freshman at this point and still has a bedtime like super specifically at like 10:15. Like that's so oddly specific.
I know.
And the show comes on at 10:30. That's like 15 minutes. And like it's
that's
such
so inconvenient.
It's such like an innocuous thing. And like Owen even like pushes back a little bit. It's like the most we ever see him push and like stand up for himself. It's like nobody even has a bedtime in high school anymore. Like I'm a freshman. And it's like literally 15 minutes. And then like
I imagine from like a writing perspective that it was like that's such an interesting thing to do, like from the writer's perspective, making his bedtime exactly before the show comes on. Like wow. What a good movie.
Yeah. And the way I kind of like interpret that as well is like when thinking about like the show, The Pink Opaque, and as we've come to like figure out like that's kind of like pivotal to like the plot and like how Owen like comes to like figure all these things out about himself or like get at least approximate somewhere close to it. And the way I interpret that specific thing is like having the time so close together is just having it like so close, but it's just out of reach and you can't quite grasp it. You can't quite grasp this idea of these feelings in your head and you know it's right there, but you just can't get to it even though you like, and even in that moment,
like
Owen asked, like it's right there and I just like, I can't grasp it. That's like kind of how I interpreted that.
Yeah, I really agree with that interpretation. I think that is like so beautiful for them to do. Well, like tragically beautiful, to be clear, not just like.
Yeah.
Wow.
And more specifically on like the family layout, I think that Owen's mom is like a character that makes a lot of sense to me because Owen's mom, in the context of his family, like that we've established, like the father's probably some degree of abusive, like very much so. And like a mother would likely want to like protect her child, like, and likely be very like strict about it in those like circumstances to, you know, so like Owen's mom makes a lot of sense, even though like we don't see a ton of Owen's mom. I think that like the little screen time that she does have like just generally makes a lot of sense in that context for me.
And I think it makes a lot of sense for Owen's character too, like how his mom acts and interacts with him and like how that reflects in how he engages with other people throughout the story.
Yeah, absolutely. And like later in like I think they're at like a carnival and Owen is sitting on the bench with her with his mother. Maybe in a perfect world Owen could have, but he's sitting with his mother and she's specifically like talking to him like, you know, it feels like you're so far away these days. And under like the circumstances and like thinking about my own experiences growing up and being so like self-isolated and being kind of far away from my own family, that hit really close to home.
Yeah.
Especially, and this movie especially hits close to home because like Owen's mother like dies of like a terminal illness, probably cancer, because like you see her in like a headband, like at that carnival, like looking at him from a distance, like hunched over a bar or something. That
whole like section is so beautifully shot too.
Yeah.
In the carnival with all of the lights and like, wow. Like just thinking about it is like, this is actually one of the most cinematographically impressive movies that I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And like, you know, you just see like the blues and pinks everywhere and it's very in your face in that regard. But like, once you get past that, you also like realize like you see the way that like these shots are like everything is done with intention, like every shot,
every single thing,
which I will get into later. There's a specific like spot that I want to get into later in the movie.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite sequences, but it just makes a lot of sense. Like from personal experience, this movie does a lot to a lot of like trans people that I've spoken to, in that one account that I always keep hearing is like, this movie knows things and is throwing it in my face, that things that I like swear I never would tell anybody. And like that resonates with me too. And you know, my latest friend that has had a gender crisis, bless her soul, that's kind of like what her recent words were on it. She was like, these are things I never told anyone. It's like the movie knew and was talking to me, addressing me directly. And it's like, yeah, no, it's like that. It's kind of insane. Oh God, I will never shut up about this movie. I love this movie so much. But yeah, so the family makes sense. And that was like one of like the first things I wanted to like establish before moving, like, and I'm probably going to jump around characters and then kind of trail it back to Owen. That's kind of how I'm going to lay it out.
I think that's probably the best way to go about it.
Yeah. And then we have the other main character, Maddie, who Owen meets even before freshman year, like one of the first characters he meets. And that's kind of how he learns about the Pink Opaque, because he sees Maddie reading the TV guide or whatever it was, and like one of the like towards the beginning of the movie in school. And it's like you see like the Owen leans up against like this vending machine that is glowing like bright pink, and then Maddie's leaning up against this other vending machine that's on the other side of the room that has like this dark blue hue to it. And I mean,
like, it doesn't get more in your face than that.
It does not get more in your face than that. There's like a lot of scenes that are like, okay, it doesn't get more in your face than that. That like everyone's going to pick up on their first time through, but like it's still worth mentioning. But we see Maddie kind of like do this thing where oh God, what, let me start over. We see Maddie develop kind of in a similar way, where her household is definitely abusive in a physical way.
Yeah.
And you learn that from like the first time Owen goes over to Maddie's house to like watch the Pink Opaque with her. And that also goes into during like talking about that, like when she says, yeah, like my dad will like break my nose again if he catches you here or whatever. So that's established. And then like another line is like, sometimes like the Pink Opaque feels more real than real life. And again, that's like the,
like seriously, like,
yeah, that's like the, you know, the central plot point. Like it really does start there. Like if you want to know like where this movie is going as far as like the regular plot itself, like, that's where it is. That's where it, like, definitively starts for me. It's like, sometimes the Pink Pig feels more real than real life.
Yeah, me too, because I think the rest of it is kind of just set up, and then it really starts when they, like, really get into watching the show.
Yes.
And, like, engaging with the show and, like, experiencing that.
Yeah. And it would be kind of just, like, casually revealed that, like, Maddie is, like, obviously, like, a lesbian, like, later during, like, the bleacher scene, but you can kind of catch, like, a glimpse of that during when Owen first walks in and Maddie, like, has her friend over and they're talking about, like, guys that they would kiss or
I
whatever.
know, yeah. I always thought that scene was so funny.
It was I do enjoy that scene a lot. But, so, like, Maddie also has, like, her own struggles with, like, you know, being a lesbian, like, being, like, a queer woman and stuff like that. Throughout, like starting through high school, because, like, someone, like, spread a rumor about her,
Which
like,
is such a nightmare.
wanting to kiss a girl, I think it was. God, I should have watched the movie more recently. I told myself I was going to, and then I did not. Unfortunately,
No, that's okay.
I did not have enough time for it. But, like, yeah, and it's like she like pushes back on the rumors, like, no, it's not true. But, like, she does say it, like, flat out to Owen, like, on the bleachers, like, you know I like girls, right? And then Owen's like, yeah, it's fine.
Like,
and then, like, I think when the gears really start turning and, like, Owen's, like, trans identity, as far as, like, the subtext goes anyway, this is where, like, the definitive real starting point happens, is, like, that bleacher scene is when Maddie asks, like, how about you? Do you like girls or do you like boys? And then, like, Owen's like, I like TV shows. And then he, like, delivers one of, like, the most, like, gut-punching lines ever, where it's, like, it goes along the lines of, like, whenever I think about stuff like that, I just, like, know, like, in my chest, like, there's nothing there, but I haven't opened myself up to check. And it's like, ow.
yeah.
Ouch. That hurt to watch because that's so real. It's so real. And this is where, like, I think this is for the part where I can, like, really actually start talking about Owen in the context of being a trans woman. Because that's the first time that I feel like that feeling gets addressed directly as a concept, although, like, indirectly with words, which is something a lot of pre-coming out trans women do. Like, so many. So many. And I'm saying trans women specifically because Owen, and also because, like, I am a trans woman. I'm gonna frame it in like a trans woman
like, you'll
perspective.
know your experience.
Yeah,
like.
yeah. I love my trans men out there. I love you. But I'm gonna talk about it in the context of trans woman.
And I mean, I think that's fine because really, one, this is a podcast about women. Trans men aren't women. Two, like, this is a story about a trans woman. Like, this is a story, like, about a girl. So
yeah. So, like I was saying, when Owen says that, that resonates with me and, like, so many other trans women out in the real world, because being raised as if you were a guy and being that in, like, the patriarchal society that forces down all of, like, you know, like, men's feelings and stuff like that. It's like you're told to be, like, stoic and not, like, talk about like your emotions, and, like, that's weak and it's like bad. You couple that with, you know, just, like, the vast marginalization of trans people, and it's like a surefire thing that would never, like, no sane quote unquote guy would ever bring up, ever.
yeah.
Because they wouldn't want to commit like social suicide per se.
Yeah.
We are a very social species. We need community. And when trans people are not seen in the public eye, especially in like the context of the time frame of this show or movie, oh my god, Panko Bakes a show, I saw TV Glows a movie. In the context of this movie, which is like, you know, a couple decades back, like trans people, if you try to remember, like in like the 2000s or in the 90s, were not like the focus of the public eye. Like trans women weren't hyper visible like they are now. There was like hardly any spaces for us, like at all.
Yeah.
So trying to find support for something like this was near impossible, especially at the time. So a lot of people just never came out about that stuff. And despite all that, like they know that it's there inside themselves. Like they know it. Even if they don't like know like what it is specifically, they know that there is a feeling, like a very like real deep feeling there that they like try to push down like harder and harder every day, especially as they get older. Like for me, I came out like when I was like 22, and well, the first time I ever...
Wait, you came out when you were 22?
The first time I ever like came out to somebody.
Oh, yeah,
not like
yeah,
everybody,
yeah.
but like the first time I ever came out to somebody was when I was 22. It was like late 2023, like it was beginning of fall or whatever.
Beginning of fall. That's kind of beautiful. That's like a lovely like time period to come out in, I think, the beginning of fall. Not related to the movie. Sorry, my bad.
That's okay. But it took like everything for me to realize that. And there was so many points where like I should have realized it and like, you know? And when Owen said that, when he said those words without actually like saying what I feel like he knew he meant by it.
Yeah.
In the context of the subtext.
In the context of the subtext.
If we're talking about Owen being a trans woman.
Yes, yes.
He knows, but he doesn't have the language to understand what that pain is. He doesn't understand why it is like what it is. Anything about it, because we aren't educated on that like from like school or anything.
Especially in the time period where this movie is set, like he really would not have had any of the language to actually discuss that. There was like no hope for him, unfortunately.
Zero chance, pretty much. Which is, you know, the harsh reality.
Which is also like why it's so important to have movies like I Saw the TV Glow Now, so that younger trans women can watch this movie and have that, like, watch that experience and see what it means and have that language to be able to come out and live their true selves. Like,
absolutely. Everyone, like, all the people online who say that representation doesn't matter, they are just wrong. They're
either wrong or like they are wrong, point blank period.
Like,
but they're
objectively wrong.
They're either like stupid or just so overly represented that they don't even understand what representation means.
Yeah.
Because when you see people say that, it's always like cis white straight people who like just would like are so violently represented everywhere that they wouldn't understand what it would mean to like actually be needing that representation to like understand yourself and like understand like who you are.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that so far this movie has done a wonderful job in portraying like the experience of a trans woman, like especially like growing up too, which I think is like one of the most important parts of like portraying like a trans character is like seeing the development that led them there.
Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of the time like shows and movies are too afraid to show that. They'll just show like a fully transitioned trans person who's already comfortable.
Absolutely.
And like how they present and like how they are. And they never want to show like the more uncomfortable topics of like getting to that point and like being trans, like actually having that experience of being transgender.
Exactly. And not only that they just don't want to. It's also like, I mean, not a lot of people are trans in the world.
Yeah.
Not a lot of media wants to go over the trans experience because not a lot of media is equipped to know the trans experience other than like trans people. And where does nobody hire? what demographic does nobody hire? Trans people, like, ever. We are not a protected class in the United States. We are not. Literally a lot of stuff that is happening, like especially right now, like it's just insanity. It is just insanity. Like, we can't change our gender marker without restriction. We don't have guaranteed access to gender affirming care in the United States. There's no discrimination laws against us,
which is ridiculous. By the way, I think that's insane and should be changed immediately.
Yeah.
And also, it's like what Ashlyn was just talking about, like even for like Stonehill's school thing, where your ticket needs to match your ID. Like, and is that not inherently like? How can they not visibly see that that is transphobic in essence?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a Catholic school. What else
regardless,
can you expect?
It's a woke Catholic school, though.
Yeah, colleges tend to be more on the woke side. Yeah, but it's like disappointing, but not surprising in my viewpoint. But I mean, I have to deal with this all the time. But
you shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Wow.
I shouldn't have to, but, I do deal with it all the time. Believe me, if I wasn't being literally targeted by the government right now, I would have done it like half a year ago. But, especially with the news, current year, 2026, April 24th?
Yeah, it's my friend's birthday.
Happy birthday. April 24th, 2026, like the countless attacks on trans people in the past year and a half, ever since the Trump administration took office, has been insurmountable. There was a joke on Twitter a couple of weeks ago. It's like one of my favorite jokes. Somebody on Twitter, they twote out.
Twote.
They twote, saying like, "Oh my God, that trans woman just walked across the street. They just jaywalked. She just jaywalked. She's setting back the movement 300 years.
God.
She's setting back the movement 300 years." And then somebody replied to that is in America, if a trans woman set back the movement 10 years, we'd low-key be better off.
And they're right, which is what's so sad about it, because it's how are we less advanced in this making sure trans people feel safe and comfortable in our country than we were 10 years ago?
Right-wing media apparatus that is embedded in literally every algorithm of social media and the news. America is a far-right country. It's not surprising. And trans people are a threat to the very strictly constructed gender binary that exists in our world today. It is a threat to that, and by extension is a threat to capitalism as a whole when you get down to it. So when we were made the target of the modern era, in which I would say definitively probably start around 2014. And if anybody listening knows about Gamergate, then exactly what I'm talking about. This is where it all began. It's insane. But I want to say definitively 2014 was right around the era when that really started ramping up, and online alt-right pipelines started being a huge thing. That's where like it all began. Seriously, you know, you get all your like SJW own compilations. And watch Ben Shapiro own this 19-year-old liberal college student or whatever. Like that's like what it is. You just like spammed everybody's feed, and like that's just like what it was.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've derailed a little bit.
Back to the movie. No, I think that's still on topic though, because it's like I feel like the context in which a movie exists helps inform like what the movie is trying to say and like what the movie is about. So I feel like it's important to talk about these like real life struggles that trans women are facing, because there are so many of them, because they do like inform the movie and like how the movie interacts with its characters, especially like its trans characters, like, and also how people are going to perceive that.
Absolutely. Thinking about the next couple parts of the movie, Maddie says she's going to run away from home. Mm-hmm. She tells Owen this, and she offers for him to come along with her. And Owen backs out last minute. Mm-hmm. And he goes to the friend's house who he like had been like lying about going over to go to Maddie's, to like sneak off to go to Maddie's, and was like, you have to tell them everything. I've been lying, and I'm in trouble. Like, I need to be like, you know, grounded for this. Mm-hmm. So that, and I think like a part of him knew that like doing that would mean having to like face that part of himself and like acknowledge it more holistically. And it is terrifying on a level that is insurmountable. It's very real. It's specifically in regards to like a trans experience. When a lot of trans people say they wish they figured it out sooner, and that they should have figured it out sooner, you could not have. Not in the way that you would have like wanted it to be. You figured it out when you were supposed to figure it out. I assure you. You can't force anybody to figure it out. You can't bury somebody underground. You can't force someone to come along and then bury them underground and wake up in, you know, outside of the midnight realm, or you're like in the midnight realm and all that stuff. You can't do it. You can't force someone to come along with that. They have to come with the terms of that on their own. And that deep-seated wish that somebody would have come along and done it, it's like, no, we would not have let it happen anyway, because that takes years to process. That's just not how it
works.
Yeah.
Really.
Decades.
It's like something within yourself versus something external.
Yeah. Decades can sometimes happen in weeks. But you know, we can't just force that to happen for other people. It's a very deeply personal thing. And when Owen kind of ran away from all that, it was heartbreaking, but it made a lot of sense to me. So far we're on a really good track as far as, you know, trans women representation.
Yeah.
We're on a really good track, and believe me, it only gets better. Owen gets a job and lives his life, and it's a very quiet life.
Boring.
It's a very quiet life. Yeah. It's very unfulfilling, and then someday I remember he was oh God, I can't remember what happened first. I think that he was driving and he saw the down telephone pole, and then he saw like the magazine that was like burnt up. That
I think that was first.
Pinko Pig Returns, like season 6, Escape from the Midnight Realm or whatever. And that's like what caused him to like go back and like rewatch all those tapes that like Maddie made for him so that he could keep up with the show. And then like he saw like, you know, that episode, and like he had like a full like mental breakdown. Like he was like in the tub, and that was visceral.
Yeah,
that was horrifying. Like his head like in TV, and like, you know, Fred Durst like storms into his room and like tears him out of the TV and like runs his head under the shower, and like Owen's like, you know, just like literally like heartbreaking screams like this isn't my home, you're not my father. Like,
I know, that's like,
oh my
that
God,
really gets me.
That was hard to watch.
Yeah,
that was so hard to watch. And then like Maddie comes back, Owen finds her in the store, and then like it's revealed that Maddie came back because she was like, the Pinko Pig is real, and you and I are like, you know, like Tara and Isabel, like in the show. And like Owen obviously has like a really hard time believing this.
Yeah, well, one, because it's so nonsensical, but also because like, imagine you've lived in this shell your whole life, and then all of a sudden someone comes and tells you, oh, you're actually this beautiful girl that you've like looked up to your entire life.
Yeah. And this is one of my favorite sequences in the entire show, is the bar scene. When Maddie...
This scene was actually so, like entrancing to me that I didn't even realize Phoebe Bridgers was in this movie until I was watching the credits after.
Right?
Like, I didn't even, like, see her there because I was so engaged with, like, what was happening in the scene that I didn't even process that Phoebe Bridgers was there. Like,
there was... This is probably, like, one of my favorite shots in the entire movie, is, like, the entire bar scene. It's... So it starts with Maddie, like warning Owen, like, I'm gonna go slow when I, like, say this, and, like, everything. And, like, tries to, like, gently guide him into, like, slowly, like, understanding and, like, talking about, like, what was going on. Like, you know, like, Owen's just, like, pleading, like, where have you been? Like, you know, we have to call, like, we thought you were dead, or, like, whatever. Because it's, like, been years. And, like, Maddie just keeps, like, pressing Owen on, like, what he remembers that show as. And you can see it, like, start to get, like, written all over his face, like, the panic.
yeah.
And it's like, it was just a show. And then, like, the shot of, like, Maddie, like, looking, like, at the audience, like, are you sure that's all it was? And then memories come back up in the way that it's shot, like, you know, it's like old, like clips, like being like cut out, and like you see Owen in like a dress, like that shot, and you see the panic like visibly like on his face, like he's freaking the fuck out over this.
Yeah.
He's like, it's not like, no, that wasn't real, that wasn't like. And it's like, just like, this is where we get into memory repression. And this one's definitely a lot more just direct, I think, in how it's displayed, but it's just still displayed extremely well. In that a lot of the things that would kind of trigger those emotions to come back up, i.e., gender euphoria, for example, just get buried. They get buried whether we wanted to bury them or not, and we try not to think about them. And we can't help it. Sometimes it comes back up. And it's really hard to face that, because the more you think about those times, the more clear it is as to who you are. Nobody's ever ready to face the reality that they might be trans. Nobody ever is. It's hard. It's really, really hard. And when proof just keeps getting stacked against you, proof that lies in your own memory, it scares the shit out of you. Because you're like, well, that's not helping my case.
Yeah.
And then they go into the planetarium, the inflatable planetarium, which was mentioned at the very first conversation that they had in the school. And Maddie describes where she's been within the past couple years. And she even says it, like, she asserts, like, I'm not Maddie, that's not my name. Mm-hmm. Which I am interpreting as, like, the Pinko Pig is real, I've escaped, like, the Midnight Realm, like, my name is Tara. Even though, like... Which
always freaked me out because that's my name. That was my thing I didn't like about the movie. It's like, okay, and why did she have my name, though? Like, can we...
Yeah, which is unfortunate coincidence.
Yeah, it really is.
But, like, although she doesn't explicitly, like, say it, like what her name, like, actually, like, is, I am choosing to interpret it as, like, you know, I am Tara, and, like, you know, concerning how the Pinko Pig is real in the literal context of the movie.
Yeah.
Or at least from Maddie's perspective, because that never actually does get, like, quite revealed to us. Yeah, we never really
see, like, what Maddie's thinking.
Yeah, we never see what happens, and that's kind of like the whole point of the movie, but we're going to get to that in a minute.
We do need to pick up the pace just a little bit.
I got you.
We're already at 47 minutes, so.
I got you. We'll finish this out.
Okay, yes, we got this.
So the planetarium scene, it starts with a very close-up shot of Maddie, and it kind of zooms outward, and you see the planetarium, and you start to see, like, all the dots. And, like, as she's explaining the experience of, like, you know, years went by, time wasn't right, and all that stuff, and then, you know, she, like, buried herself underground, and she, like, described how she woke up, like, in the Midnight Realm, and she found her heart, and she found, you know, she found Owens, too, as a,
I always
like,
thought that line was
so
strange. Like, the wording of that line always, like, it almost brought me out of it a little bit. Like, I distinctly remember thinking that line, like, yeah, and they had our hearts in industrial freezers. Was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like I understand what you're saying here, and I like what you're saying, but can we word it differently, maybe? Like,
yeah. I think that, oh God, let me back up real quick. Where was I? Planetarium, zooming out, and, like, as she's explaining it, you can see, like, in, like, the presentation in the globe, like, you see the lines, like, connect in the constellations, which is just brilliant as far as, like, the shot goes, like, as she's, like, telling.
It's beautiful.
It's like, perfect. And she, like, convinces Owen to, like, come along with him, and, like, you could still see, like, his heart's not in it. Like, this is all happening extremely fast, and this is insane. Like, what do you mean? Are you serious? Brings him out to the football field, and, you know, she's, like, there for him. She's, like, trying to, like, you know, like, pull him along, and then all that anxiety reaches a peak, and they're about to cross the 50-yard line, and he just pushes Maddie away, and he runs home. And then he literally says, I waited for Maddie to come back to force me underground, but that never happened. I never saw her again.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of it. Nobody's gonna tell you you're trans. Nobody's gonna, like, tell you you're trans. And even if they do,
you're not gonna believe them.
You're not gonna believe it. It's not gonna be successful. You're gonna push them away. Because you have to be ready for that. And that is one of like the most real things about this movie. is when everyone says, I wish someone came along and told me that just told me what I was and got me on the right track. That's the answer. You wouldn't have believed them. No matter how hard they tried to get you underground. You wouldn't have believed them. It would have been just you having to figure it out. And maybe you haven't yet. Maybe you're in the midst of it. Maybe you have figured it out. But that's just how it goes. It's a deeply personal, spiritual experience. It's not easy, but it's you. This is like the realest shit ever. And you see like Owen just like passes it off as like this was crazy. And then like you see him like age super quickly, just like how Maddie was describing, like, and then I was 21, then I was 22, and then I was 23 or whatever. And you see him look like horrible, and like his like has like just like breathing like you know, the asthma gets like so much worse, and he's like working at this job that still, and like the birthday scene, oh my god, the birthday scene, that was one of the hardest.
Yeah, seriously.
But that was like the last like cry out. And that's like a breaking point. Is like what happens when you don't like, what happens if you don't let this part of yourself show? It's going to come out one way or another in some of our worst ways. And, you know, just mental health takes a toll, and it will fuck you up like really badly. And like in that bathroom scene when he like cuts his chest open and he sees it inside him. He's checking, it's there. There is a version of this movie that you can interpret as after Owen is seeing the final shot apologizing to everybody. You can interpret it as Owen then goes to bury himself alive. And you can do that. You are free to do that. But this movie is about the horror of not transitioning.
Yeah,
this movie is
really
about
is.
dysphoria. This is what it is.
Yeah. That last scene of the movie is so crazy.
It is.
Like heartbreaking. Because when I first watched the movie, I saw it in theaters, as I mentioned. And like after the movie like actually ended, literally no one in the theater moved for like 10 minutes after. And even when they did start moving, I thought it was too soon. I was like, how can you just like go back to your daily life after that? Like, how can you watch that and then just like get up and go walk around this mall that the movie theater's in? Like, how are you like able to do that after experiencing this film and watching that scene in particular? Like,
yeah, this was easily, in my opinion, the single most important piece of transmedia in the modern era. Easily. So if you're asking me right now, how well does this movie portray women, specifically trans women? I say it does it single-handedly the best way possible. Easily. There is something so incredible about the way this movie is written, where it doesn't say it to your face. It shows it. Everything, every little detail in this movie is intentional. Even back in the bar scene, there's this like trick in film or whatever, where it's like if shots are like made like right to left or left to right, it's interpreted as something is wrong, something is right. Like if you're facing left, it's wrong, or facing right, it's right, because like the way we read or whatever, something like that. I don't know. I watched like a YouTube essay like a while ago, and I'm like totally stealing this. Sorry, but like when Maddie is like talking about like, you know, when like about like, you know, like the Pinko Pagan like trying to get to Owens, like was that all it was? Like the shots gradually shift from like her facing left to the right.
Yeah.
And this is brilliant. It's like
so good.
Oh my God. It's like perfect.
Yeah.
Everything about this movie, every single like minute detail I could go in forever about, and it's just perfect. And meanwhile, like also just going to touch on the soundtrack for a minute here, especially in the bar scene. They have like, you know, like Phoebe Bridgers and, you know, Slappy Jane, like Claw Machine. Yeah. But like specifically when King Woman makes a feature with her song Psychic Wound, and you're just hearing like feel like a psychic wound, like just like repeating like as like the climax of that scene and the explanation just builds up. It's
so good.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Wow. It's horrifying, but it's beautiful.
Yeah. And Alex G did all the music, and I love Alex G. Lord knows I love Alex G.
Alex G, they could never make me hate you.
Seriously. Like, oh my God. Okay. Overall, though, I think this film is a near perfect example of womanhood.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It's, they hit everything like a home run.
Yeah. Seriously. So good. Okay. And that's all we have time for. Thank you, podcast listeners.
Thank you. Thank you so much.